There's an old joke in the Western internet. The moment something gets messy for the US government, the web suddenly discovers aliens again. It was like that in the 90s, when Clinton's scandals were everywhere and the gossip machine needed fresh fireworks. It was like that in 2020, too. COVID was peaking, people were tearing each other apart over origins and vaccines. And right on cue, the Pentagon publicly validated 3 UFO clips. And now we've got the next headline magnet. The object, nicknamed 3I/Atlas, with the loudest megaphone belonging to Harvard's Ov Loeb. So what is this exactly? A visitor from another civilization? Or the same old media bait with a new wrapper? And the bigger question, why do these stories get pushed so aggressively in the US at all? You already know the drill. In the next couple of minutes, immediately after your like and comment, we're gonna break it down. Also, quick poll in the comments. Are you team aliens exist or team nope? I genuinely want to see the numbers. There's one uncomfortable fact people keep skipping. The US has a documented history of playing with UFO narratives as a smokescreen. In 2023, it even turned into a dark comedy. Congress set up a special office to dig into anomalies, and the investigation basically walked right into the government's own old tricks. The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office began interviewing current and former intelligence people to give the public transparent, honest answers about what the government knows. And then a retired Pentagon officer dropped the kind of confession that makes the whole story look like a prank with a budget. He said that in the 1980s, under orders, he went to a bar near the now mythic Area 51 and showed the owner photos that looked like classic flying saucers. You can guess what happened next. Local legend went supernova, secret tech, alien hardware, the drunk officer who let it slip. Except, according to the officer himself, it was never a drunken slip. It was intentional, a planted fake designed to whip up UFO hysteria on Pentagon request. The purpose? Keep everyone staring at the sky while a very real project stayed invisible, the F-117. So the papers screamed UFO, not stealth aircraft. And if everyone's chasing saucers, the USSR isn't chasing the right blueprints. Naturally, once investigators heard that, they started getting Roswell flashbacks, and the theory resurfaced that 1947 might also have been stage-managed. And it gets better. The inquiry found that in 1967, the Pentagon was connected to UFO rumors again. Watch to the end to understand why that particular year matters. Because this time, the backdrop wasn't a desert runway, it was nuclear missile sites. One of them was in Montana, where Air Force Captain Robert Salas served. He claimed a reddish-orange oval hovered over the main gate, and the missiles went offline. Later, he heard about similar reports nearby, and, from above, received the kind of hint that sounds like an instruction to keep the myth alive, something, they suggested, wasn't human. And about all of that, you're supposedly forbidden to speak, strictly forbidden. Except here's the thing, even when people don't say it outright, they still wink at it. That's how you end up with all those dramatic, "my father saw aliens" stories, especially the ones told by the children of military officers. Only the investigation later clarified what was really happening. At Salas's site and other missile facilities, they were running electromagnetic generator tests to check how well nuclear warheads could withstand electronic interference. Those generators were so intense they threw off an orange glow, and the workers interpreted it as something extraterrestrial. When the tests revealed a nightmare outcome, warheads going offline, the Pentagon panicked and locked the whole thing down to prevent leaks. The fear was obvious. If the USSR learned the US nuclear arsenal could be disrupted that easily, it would be a strategic disaster. So they picked the most convenient diversion on Earth: aliens. Let people babble about UFOs, anything, as long as they aren't babbling about the vulnerability of America's strategic forces. That logic is cynical, but at least it's logic. The problem is there are other episodes that sound less like strategy and more like theater. For decades, nearly 70 years, commanders in certain secret Air Force programs were reportedly briefed on information claiming the US had an anti-gravity vehicle. They were even shown a photo of a flying saucer, and naturally they were warned, talk about it and you're dead. A Pentagon panel's first reaction was the obvious one. So the US really has something? But the Defense Department later stated flatly that there are no American flying saucers, nowhere close. The episodes were described as deliberate disinformation, and officials promised to remove it from the system. But by then, the chain reaction was already built in. Pilots swapped stories, drank, hinted to friends, flexed secret knowledge, and those hints leaked into pop culture, where they multiplied like bacteria. As for the purpose, even the official inquiry can't give a single clean answer yet. The main working theory is a leak trap, a way to test who can keep their mouth shut and to map the channels where secrets spill. It's easy, after all, to track which pilot repeated what. The secondary theory is psychological pressure, a message aimed at Soviet intelligence. Your enemy has unknown tech, so maybe don't get cute. Either way, the argument is still ongoing, but one point is already solid. There are at least 3 cases where U.S. authorities intentionally inflated UFO noise to cover real-world facts, which is why every shiny breakthrough headline deserves not a pinch of salt, but the whole damn salt mine. And yes, 3I-ATLS belongs in that category too. The object was spotted in July 2025 by the Atlas Telescope Network, originally built to hunt asteroids that could threaten Earth, and it's clearly doing its job better than expected. 3I-ATLS stood out immediately because it came from beyond the solar system, only the 3rd such visitor after Oumuamua and Comet Borisov. And then the story gets juicier because this comet wasn't just there, it was visibly glowing.
Comets are basically the show-offs of the solar system. Everyone knows them for those gorgeous tails. The sun warms them up, their material starts evaporating, and suddenly they can glow, like a cold rock pretending it's a light bulb. The weird part with Atlas is that it started glowing way too early, out beyond Jupiter's orbit. Normally, a comet has to come much closer to the sun before it puts on that kind of performance. And then the orbit made the story even stranger. Scientists plotted 3I/Atlas and went, what? It swings past Jupiter, then lines up toward Mars, then Venus, and it keeps traveling right along the ecliptic plane. Space isn't flat, it's a whole 3D volume. Yet out of every possible direction in a 360-degree universe, this thing picked a route that threads past practically every planet, except the one with people on it. That's where the "it's a spacecraft" crowd gets their 2 favorite talking points. 1, it's shining because it's not a comet at all, it's got an engine. 2, the orbit looks like a deliberate survey run, like an alien probe scanning the system planet by planet. People also point to smaller clues, like strange speed changes, as if it pulled a gravity assist maneuver on purpose. But here's the thing. All of that became secondary the moment James Webb took a look and basically ended the mystery. Webb found an almost obscene amount of carbon dioxide in the comet, specifically as dry ice. And dry ice, as certain loud internet characters have reminded everyone for years, melts absurdly easily. So the comet didn't need to get close to the sun to start acting alive. It could glow much earlier than the comets we're used to. Webb also measured something genuinely alien by solar system standards, the ratio of CO2 ice to water ice, up to 8:1. That number is basically unheard of for comets from around here. But that's the punchline. 3I/Atlas isn't from around here. It came from outside the solar system, so the weird chemistry is exactly what you'd expect. And that's why scientists are watching it so closely, to learn what other star systems are made of and how different they might be from ours. Because comets are just leftover construction scraps from planet building. Our system has one recipe, another system may have a completely different one. And if you care about real alien, not tabloids, then the best path is boring, patient statistics. Learn more about nearby systems, compare, and keep looking. And the real reason we're suddenly spotting more interstellar objects lately is painfully unromantic. We built more telescopes, and we made them stronger. Stuff that used to slip past unnoticed is now easy to detect, record, and analyze. And it's about to get even crazier. The Vera Rubin Observatory is coming online soon, and in its first years, it's expected to find up to 10,000 similar comet-asteroid-like objects that were previously invisible. And yeah, about half of those objects will look strange, too. Not because aliens are running a PR campaign, but because we literally never had the tools to spot them before. New data always looks freaky at first, so we can skip the collective meltdown. But are there actual developments elsewhere? Yep, they just don't go viral because the real stuff is messy, technical, and doesn't fit into a 10-second headline. Take Mars. Perseverance reported these formations people started calling leopard spots and poppy seeds, patterns that, on Earth, almost always show up where microbes have been busy. If you want the dumbed-down version, it looks like something found organics, ate them using oxygen bound up in iron as the oxidizer, left the leftovers behind, and disappeared. The rover's data suggests those spots contain materials that, on Earth, can appear after iron oxides are processed by iron-related bacteria or from volcanic chemistry. Except there's a problem with the volcanic explanation. In that specific area, there's no real sign of volcanoes anywhere nearby, which is why NASA has framed it as one of the strangest hints so far of extraterrestrial life, at least ancient life. Meanwhile, our listening tools are leveling up too.
radio telescopes are improving, and there are a few candidate signals people have flagged as potentially artificial. And starting around 2025, NASA's own guidance finally began pointing toward a more promising way to search. Breakthrough Listen is pushing an approach that doesn't rely only on classic radio. Bring in gamma ray, X-ray, and neutrino astronomy to hunt for technosignatures. That matters because traditional radio searches mostly end the same way: nothing. And the famous WOW signal? It's been dissected, relitigated, and explained so many times, it's basically a worn-out meme at this point. Here's a fun reality check. A Nature Astronomy survey of astrobiologists this year found that 86.6% believe life exists somewhere in the universe. And just to make sure it wasn't a funding bias, they also asked scientists from other fields, and that number came out even higher, at 88%. So it's not just astrobiologists hyping life to keep the money flowing. But that optimism is mostly about simple life. When you ask about intelligent life, the confidence drops. Only 67% of astrobiologists said yes to advanced life, and only 58% of other scientists agreed. A hard no was only about 10%. And the case they lean on is basically two things. First, life is more resilient than we assumed, so in theory it could exist in places like Europa's subsurface ocean. Second, we've now found over 6,000 exoplanets, and a bunch of them are predicted to have climates that look, at least on paper, pretty friendly for life. So I'm throwing it back to you. When do you think we'll get real confirmation, one, of any life out there, and two, of intelligent life? Drop your predictions in the comments. New episode coming soon. Good luck.